Beep, 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 beep. Welcome to the Court of the EDI Jester. Hello, everyone. How you doing? All right? Oh, my. Oh, my. What should we look for today? Well, I'll tell you what we'll do today. Let's have a look at diversity. I've found something from a while back. Actually, somebody sent it to me. It was one of my warrior teachers, as always, who are on the button and there and ready if anything interesting comes up to send it to me. So I've got it. It's from 2022, so it's going back a while. But I still think it's interesting, and you might want to have a look at it, right? So it's about diversity training goals. Now, bear in mind that this was first published in 2021, and it was done by the Department of Psychology in Wisconsin-Madison by Patricia G. Devine and Tori L. Ash, right? L. Ash. Okay, and it's called Diversity Training Goals, Limitations and Promise, a review of the multidisciplinary literature. So it's some kind of review. I don't know whether this is what's called a systemic review in the academic ease. Perhaps somebody can tell me in the dubris, all right? Not the dubris, in the comments. But there's a few snippets in here, right? It might be a bit bitty, so bear with me. Not bitty as in Little Britain. Bitty. No, not that, right? But bitty as in, I'm going to pick out some bits. You're going to have to go and have a look at it for the rest of it for yourself, because obviously it's academic. It's dry and long, right? Rather like a 10-day-old sausage. Okay, so diversity training goals, limitations and promise, a review of the multidisciplinary literature. In this review, we utilise a narrative approach to synthesise the multidisciplinary literature on diversity training. In examining hundreds of articles on the topic, we discovered that the literature is amorphous and complex, and does not allow us to reach decisive conclusions regarding best practices in diversity training. Essentially what they're saying is, it's got no efficacy. Don't bother with it. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. We note that scholars of diversity training, is there such a thing? Is there actually? I'm a scholar of diversity training. How can we tell? I've got a poster of intersectionality ladder on my wall. I'm a scholar of diversity training. How can we tell? I hate everything and everyone that doesn't agree with me. I'm a scholar of diversity training. Oh, really? What does that involve? I'm not sure. These nutters, right? Scholars of diversity training, when testing the efficacy of their approaches, too often use proxy measures for success that are far removed from the types of consequential outcomes that reflect the purported goals of such training. In other words, it don't work. Academics are all mad, aren't they? Right, okay. You're all mad, the lot of you. Academics, right. It don't work, right? We suggest that the enthusiasm for and monetary investment in diversity training has outpaced the available evidence that such programs are effective in achieving their goals. That's it, twice, in 2 paragraphs. It doesn't work. I love it, right? We recommend that researchers and practitioners work together for future investigation to propel, wait for it, to propel the science of diversity training forward. You can just go and bugger off. The science of diversity training. That should say, oh God, future investigation to propel the science of bum-peering. The science of picking cotton wool fluff out of your belly button. The science of the ingrowing toenail. No nuts, right? We conclude with a roadmap for how to create a more rigorous and relevant science of diversity training. They are absolutely insane. This, of course, comes from the Department of Psychology. And what they're saying is it doesn't work, which is great, because I agree with you. It doesn't work. It's, in fact, dangerous. But what they can't say is we should end it all, because they're the Department of Psychology and they need a job. We end with a roadmap for further screwing up. It's up. It's over. It's done. Just say it. Okay, this entire thing could be sort of, much smaller. None of it works. We're unemployed. This is what it should say, right? The key words are diversity training, cultural competence, diversity education, prejudice reduction interventions, unconscious bias training, and bias literacy. Essentially, grievance mining. So it turns out that an entire industry that is based around grievance mining doesn't work. Right? It doesn't work. It's like they're like some, old aging relative who does nothing but moan and sits in the corner, right, smelling faintly of urine. Looking all horrible. Have you seen? Did you know? That's what they're like. They're like some real, ancient sort of walking cadaver sat in the corner. Oh God. So, just to give you some idea of more of their observations, public discourse and popular media are flooded with stories of companies implementing diversity training in response to highly publicised and often reputation-damaging instances of bias. In a particular salient case, Starbucks closed all 175,000 stores to host a 4-hour anti-bias training following the controversial arrest of 2 black patrons purportedly loitering while waiting for an associate to arrive. Yeah, that was all blown out of proportion. You remember that? Stewart, in response to the outrage following the expulsion of black passengers for allegedly laughing too loudly on the Napa Valley train, the CEO of the company publicly promised to provide DT diversity training for all his employees. In another example, this is insane, Delta Airlines offered unconscious bias training for all 23,000 flight attendants after a black physician's credentials were questioned when she attempted to provide emergency medical care to a fellow passenger. Although the public is all too familiar with promises of reform via employee diversity training, much less attention is paid to the content, objectives and effectiveness of DT. Specifically, what are the goals of it? What should be included? How would an interested consumer recognise an effective DT programme? And is DT effective in reducing bias, or is it rife with empty promises? How have we fallen for this? The entire world is like one big con at the moment, isn't it? You've got all this EDI stuff, which is rubbish, right? Never met anybody that does it right. Never. Not once. Except me. Right? EDI should be a celebration. It should be a celebration of that which we have achieved in the UK, the Equality Act. Celebration of what we have achieved. How do we get there? What happened in history? What were the laws that were passed? Why did it happen? That's what it should be. A celebration of that. A celebration of what we can do when we get together. A celebration of collaboration. But it's not. You've ended up with a bunch of bum peerers popping into companies and going, I peered up my bum. Now what I'd like to do is ask everybody else to peer up their bum. If that was actually true, can you imagine the conference room? Right, if you'd all like to peer up your bum. For those of you that find it hard, we've got mirrors. If you were really big like me, you'd need one of those things like when you're looking at the eclipse, wouldn't you? So I could peer up my own bum. Absolutely insane, right? There is loads of this stuff. This goes on and on and on. I'm not kidding. There are pages and pages of it. But if you want to go and have a read and see whether you think it's got any efficacy at all, right? It's the most strange thing to come across. That they're now analysing whether the crap they produced is actually crap, and they need to produce more crap after they've analysed it. Never ends. It's a constant spinning boondoggle in which money is made by all concerned. As they've said here at the end. In closing, we acknowledge that our review could be viewed as a general rebuke of diversity training as an enterprise. We would like to clarify that this is not at all the case. So we've just posited it doesn't work, but it doesn't matter that it doesn't work. We didn't mean that. Oh, God. Indeed, we are strong proponents of the importance of creating conditions whereby members of historically marginalised groups can be included, feel respected and thrive. We appreciate the potential benefits of diversity-related initiatives and value the goals upon which the practice of DT has been built. They can't help themselves. Right, we've had a look at this. It's shite. Right, okay, what are you going to do? More shite? Brilliant. If you're in a company or an organisation, you've got goals that you have to achieve. In a business, you've got goals that you have to achieve. 1, make money. Maximise profit, minimise loss. That's it. Everything else is immaterial. Just bloody get on with it. People don't like it, sack them. Nonsense. Remember when you could do that years ago? Yeah, you're a turd. Get out. So, from that perspective, it's worth having a look at just to see how mad they are. Right? Because they're probably good folk, I imagine. But, you know, you're not going to get anything good to come out of any of it because it's all so badly tainted. You've only got to look at each portion of it. Diversity of what? That's a good question. Not thought, is it? Let's not have any diversity of thought getting in the way, right? Inclusivity, unless, of course, you're a TERF, right? Or a fat old gay who doesn't like, you know, trans nonsense. And equity, which is what it will be, equity. Well, we need equity. He's taller than he is. Cut his legs off. That's equity. Anyway, go well. More madness. I don't know what to say to you. Bye.